The Trail, Chapter 5. I tuck my memories into the back of my mind and unzip the tent flap to face the day. I sigh. Taking a whiz in the morning is one of the chiefest pleasures of being out on the trail. You tend to hold it during the night. You don't want to leave the huddled warmth of your sleeping bag. You don't want to let in bugs or zombies. And so usually by daybreak, the urge to go is overwhelming. When I first started camping with Lucas and his dad, one of the first things I discovered was that relieving myself against a tree in the early dawn light is just about the best feeling in the world. I finish my business and check the sky. The rain clouds are quickly turning leaden gray. I have to get packed and moving and eat if I'm going to stay warm during the heavier rain. I make my way to a tall maple tree to get my food. A lumpy sack dangles from a branch 15 feet up. Hanging your food keeps it out of reach of all general wildlife. But the sack you use is generally called a bear bag. I guess squirrel bag or moose bag mouse bag doesn't sound all that protective. The bear bag is attached to a line of rope that I've coiled around the trunk of the maple. I undo the rope and the bag falls to the ground with a light thump. I loosen the nylon cord around the bag's mouth and pull out the contents. I know there wasn't much food left, but it still makes me nervous to see it. 3 Snickers bars, a bagel, a quarter block of cheddar cheese, and a small Ziploc full of M&Ms. I pick out my third to last Snickers bar and peel back the wrapper. Gran wouldn't approve, and I'm sure there will be some unhappy dentist visits later. But for now, chocolate and peanuts and caramel are the perfect breakfast. After wolfing down the Snickers, I jam my belongings into my pack and begin breaking down the tent, shaking drops of water off the rainfly before folding it in half and placing the aluminum tent poles at one end. I roll the tent up to the other end, then stuff it all into the tent bag. I clip the tent to my pack using the 2 thin outer straps at the pack bottom, then heft everything onto my shoulders. The last thing I have to do is orient myself in the right direction. I unzip my hip pocket and pull out a Ziploc stuffed with maps. I open the one that shows where I am and where I have to go today. The next shelter is 8 miles away. I shake off the urge to look at the part of the map that shows Velvet Rock Shelter, or the unmarked spot a mile west where Gran lives. Gran and Velvet Rocks are behind me. I have to focus on what's ahead. I fold the map back up and shove it into the Ziploc, then cram everything back into my hip pocket. As I pull at the zipper, it gets caught on the Ziploc. I tug harder, sealing the plastic into the teeth. I'll worry about it later. Right now, I want to get going. I hop on the trail and start walking. I'm only a few steps in when my pack straps begin to chafe. It feels like 2 lines of fire are raging down my chest. The pack had seemed so comfortable when I tried it on at home. But that was before I had filled it with 30 pounds of equipment and supplies. Now, even though calluses have started to form every time my pack shifts, it still hurts. I bite my lip and try to take my mind off the pain. I concentrate on the 2x6-inch white blazes that mark the path. They are like tiny north stars leading me up to Maine. As I get into the rhythm of hiking, I start to forget the little pains and lose myself in the woods. Plus, it's comforting to know that with every white splash of paint I spot in the woods, I'm getting closer to fulfilling my promise to Lucas. I'm feeling pretty good until I come to a river crossing that looks way too familiar. The trail is a lot of trees and more trees, but rivers are more memorable. I frown. I could swear that I've been here before. I stand at the river's edge and yank at the hip pocket zipper. Oh yeah, still stuck. Frustrated, I yank harder and slowly force the pocket open. As I take out the Ziploc, I groan. The zipper has chewed a gaping hole in the corner. So much for my waterproof map bag. I dig up the map that I need. It confirms my fears. I wasn't supposed to come to a river crossing for miles. I've been following the trail, but in the completely wrong direction. Like a total moron, I literally exited my campsite and started walking back in the direction I'd come from. Of course I messed up. I always do. I shove the map back into the ruined bag and try to zip the pocket shut. But no matter how hard I pull, it's stuck for real this time. Great. I snatch the Ziploc out of the broken hip pocket and shrug off my pack. I kneel down and open the hood, but it's too full to fit the maps. I take out my water filter and set it down so I can push the maps inside. As I put the maps into the hood pocket, the filter rolls into the water. No! I drop everything and grab at the filter. I miss. I chase it down the river and nearly swipe it 6 times. But then a burst of wind pushes the filter into fast, deep water and it's lost. I grit my teeth and return to my pack just in time to see another gust of wind pick up my map bag and toss it into the current. Before I can blink, the ragged Ziploc sails into the water and tumbles away. Typical. It's just my rotten luck. My stupid rotten luck. Now I'm going to have to really make sure that I'm going in the right direction. It takes me a long time to get back to where I had camped the night before. I trudge past it, kicking a clod of dirt and rock toward my old tent site. I hate making mistakes, but they seem to find me wherever I go. I continue on, plodding up to a flat, bald peak as fat drops of rain begin to fall. My backpack slumps against my shoulders. I can feel my bruise throbbing under the shoulder strap. It hurts. When I reach the top of the mountain, there is no view, just cold mist and clouds and a trail sign in all caps. This trail is extremely tough. If you lack experience, please use another trail. Take special care at the Cascades to avoid tragic results. That's me, I mutter. Just a tragic result waiting to happen. But I keep going anyway. The trail descends for a long stretch, and as the rain starts to fall harder, I realize that I'm starting to get chilly. The first keep on my list needs attention. I stop for a round of jumping jacks. Hands up, hands down, legs out, legs in. Repeat. After a minute, I feel it, the bumping of my heart against my rib cage. When I shove my hands back into my raincoat, they are warmer. I continue down from the peak into a forest of thick, gnarled trees. Moss hangs like beards off their branches. Roots twist up, octopus-like, catching my feet as I go by. It is quiet here. No birds are chirping, and despite the lush growth of ferns and lichens and the steady dripping of rainwater on the green summer leaves, it's too still. It feels like an abandoned jungle, as if all the animals have fled from some awful presence. A gust of wind blasts through the trees, and the rain changes its tune. Before it was a drumbeat, now it is a hammer beating down with relentless fury. There is no longer a morning drizzle. This is a storm. I pick up the pace. There are lean-tos, sturdy three-sided log shelters every couple of miles along the trail. I need to get to the next one to wait out the rain. The wind begins to howl. Branches crack and frantic leaves spin through the air. The clouds are black with rain. Thunder growls over my head, and even though I don't see it, I hear the explosions of lightning hitting somewhere above the tree line. Up until now, I have been so focused on taking care of my keeps list that I haven't paused to think about the bigger picture. But suddenly, I'm aware of how alone I am. With the rough terrain and nasty weather, every stumble on a slick rock could turn into a fall. Every step could be a sprained ankle or a broken leg. And I've violated the number one rule of hiking. I have told no one where I am, not even Gran. If I get hurt or lost, no one will come looking for me. I could die out here in these woods. Cold creeps through my veins, and it's not just the weather seeping into my bones. I am scared. What am I doing out here without Lucas? It was stupid of me to think that I could survive the trail without him. Lucas was the leader of our two-kid pack, the one who always knew what to do. I was the happy-to-follow sheep. Now I'm alone in the middle of a violent storm, rain pelting down, shivering, and almost out of food. Stupid, stupid, stupid. My heart is racing with fear, and without thinking, I begin to run. My boots splash through puddles, soaking my calves with muddy water. I clench and unclench the straps of my backpack, trying to keep my numb hands from freezing. Chunks of wet hair glue themselves to my forehead. The trail stretches on, seemingly endless, as I stumble forward, pausing just once to put on all my clothes and gulp down the bagel and the rest of my M&Ms. Despite these precautions, I am cold and growing colder. Shivers spasm through my body, becoming more and more uncontrollable. My keeps list has gone out the window. I can't keep warm. I can't keep fed. I can't keep an eye on the non-existent sun. And in the cold, damp wetness, I realize I have forgotten to keep hydrated. I lose track of time. My teeth are knocking together so hard I can feel my brain bouncing around in my head. The rain is still coming down, and now the wind has picked up, blowing deep, numbing cold through my jacket. Everything is wet. I have given up on trying to feel my fingers or my toes. A twisted oak root rises up across the trail, and before I can react, I have caught my foot on it and gone sprawling. I hit the ground hard, breaking the fall with my arms, but my face is inches from a rock. My backpack presses down on me, and my cheek falls into the cold stone. I am tired. I've barely begun, and I already want to give up. I let myself sink into the wet ground. I'm sorry, Lucas, I whisper. I close my eyes, trying to block out my grief. I've failed my best friend. And then there is a hand on my shoulder. I turn my head, and in the drizzling rain, a face comes into focus. Hey, kid, you okay? I'm too tired to shake my head. The next thing I know, I'm being picked up, backpack and all, and carried. Right before I pass out, I see it, ahead on the trail, a stack of logs covered by an old tin roof. Shelter.